I'm going to talk to you about GraphQL and edge workers and other API gateway patterns that you might want to explore on the edge. So I'm a software engineer at Cloudflare. I'm Sevki, but you can just call me Shev, it's easier. What I would like for you to take from this talk is a different mindset about how you would approach building APIs and sort of gathering a bunch of microservices and maybe trying to build a API gateway of your own and hopefully using GraphQL. So if you guys remember a long time ago, this is what we used to do. We would have a utilities closet. We would monkey patch a bunch of cables together and have servers running in a utilities closet. Everybody would know, oh, that's the machine that thing is running on, that's the machine that thing is running on. Now we have huge data centers, we have the cloud, and we don't know really what actual physical machine our code is running on. We know still what server it's running on, we just don't know the actual machine. I'm pretty sure Google just builds these so they can get on cable porn on Reddit, but we're moving to this. We're moving to serverless, where we don't really know where our code is running, which actual machine it's running on, right? Code goes in, you don't really know where it's running, you don't really care. You don't really care about the version of the kernel that it's running. You just don't care, right? So we went from a server in a utilities closet to a server in US East 1B to no computers. We don't know which server it is. It is still, though, one location to one location to one location. When you go and try to set up a Lambda function or a Google Cloud function or whatever, you still have to say, I want it to run in this region for complex billing stuff, tax jurisdictions and whatnot. You still have to say, I want this to run with this much RAM on this particular region, right? So what is the edge? The edge in edge computing refers to the edge of the cloud. It is the closest thing to your customers, with the exception of the ones they're staring at. It is really, really close to your customers. But the thing about edge computing is we're really happy to put all our JavaScript files with their hashes and images and CSS files and static files and all of that stuff that we generally think of as cachable on the edge, but things that are API calls, authenticated pages, admin tools, one-off tools, proof of concepts, we don't really think of them as being cacheable because we think, oh, there will be a performance hit, or is it really worth it? We'll just scale it up. We're just throw more machines at it, throw more RAM at it. We'll put Redis next to it so we can cache the queries or the values or something like that. But we don't really think of API calls, for example, as being as cacheable content. So why is being so close to the edge important? What does it bring us, right? So right now, we have around 153 points of presence. And when I was doing these slides, I really had to sort of make this interactive because we keep adding more pops. So if I do this, it'll go and find the nearest pop and tell me how many we have. And obviously, this is written in GraphQL, right? But the main thing I want you to get away from this is pushing code to all these edge locations is extremely easy, right? We can deploy your code to the edge in about 5 to 7 seconds, right? and done. That's how much it takes for you to write some code and get it on the edge. Why is this important? Why am I talking about this, right? Let's talk about GraphQL first. So I think there is a really, really great value in having all your microservices run in any sort of environment that they run on right now. But then you glue all those microservices together at the edge and have them be available in any format that you want, minus clearly GraphQL, and glue those things together and make it really, really fast, right? I don't know how many of you guys have this debate at your current place of work. We do this all the time. Backend engineers at where I work, at Cloudflare, there's a great debate about, should we do gRPC? Should we do GraphQL? I don't think that's going to be the debate moving forward, because you can take your gRPC clients, your microservices, and glue them all together with GraphQL. With that, the sales pitch is done. I'm going to move to code. This is how easy it is to actually get up and running with GraphQL. You don't really need anything else, right? First, our workers have this, they use the same interface as the service workers in your browser. That's why we call them workers. We call them edge workers. So you add a fetch event listener, and we handle the request. When we're handling the request, we just write a very simple router. This is boilerplate code. We handle the GraphQL request ourselves, and everything else we just let the server handle. So we just fetch. We then go to our actual GraphQL code. In our actual GraphQL code, we decode the query like so. So there is a bit more of boilerplate code that you have to copy and paste. And I'm sure our team is going to make these available as libraries. We build a schema, right? We then, let me just go back here. We then need a root object to pass with the schema and the query that we just decoded, right? So we're in the root object that we just created. We add data loader to it because we want to batch and also cache everything that we're doing. And we write the resolvers for the data loader, right? And I'm just going to be demoing you guys how to basically wrap an existing API. In this case, it's the DNS over HTTP API. And let me actually go and do that. So this is the promise, right? I'm going to take a bunch of these and run a query, and it's fast, right? Watch what happens when I run it again. And just so you guys know, we're not cheating. Let's go to the network tab. Let's run this again. Am I doing something wrong? That's right. So about 30 milliseconds, 16 milliseconds, 21 milliseconds, 22 milliseconds, right? These are actual calls that we're doing to the network. It's going, it's resolving, it's coming back because we're caching very aggressively and we are also shaping that data the way we want it, right? If I move one of these around, is it going to matter? No, because we've already done the caching server side. How fast is it actually to get something like this going? And can you actually this is it. We have a starter library that you don't need anything else. You can just play around with it. Like so, and it works. Sorry, just. Right. This is the same exact code that I just pushed. And it's running now at our sandboxed environment at cloudflareworkers.com. It's that easy to get started. And as you can see from the network calls, it's really, really fast. And that's really the promise of running any kind of API call or an API gateway pattern at the edge. You don't really have to think about how we are, at this point, I think, we're at 153 pops. We're trying to be about 50 milliseconds from 99% of the entire population. Move your APIs closer to where people are. If any of you have actually tried running Slack in an airplane with the airplane Wi-Fi on, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a very painful experience. Move your API calls closer to the edge. And with that, I'm Sevki again on Twitter and GitHub. The demo code that I just showed you is available at cloudflare.graphql.com. Docs are available at developers/cloudflare.com/workers. And if you'd like to talk about any of this, you can email me at sevki@cloudflare.com. I have stickers and webcam covers if any of you guys want any of those things. And I'll be hanging around in the back if you want to talk to me about any of this.